That's no moon.
Hello there, I'm Cockles.
Hello.
This is That's No Moon, a hobby talk, another one here, and I'm joined this time by Justin Reed, he of the north of England, whose accent I will not attempt because that's the only mockery I try when I talk with Ollie. Justin, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you for taking time to talk to us. I say us.
It's amazing. As soon
Me.
as it says any northern, my accent does like 3 or 4 levels of more northern than it would normally be. It's like somebody has said northern, therefore I must be more northern than I am.
Oh yeah. It's the thing is the same as I've got a family up in Scotland, so and like a half breed thing going. So if someone says that, and then all of a sudden I turn into a little bit of SNP going, you can't be talking to me like that, and all this sorts of jazz. It's just like it's quite funny, but it's how it is. And then if someone is taking a mick out of down the south, I'm like, oh, you can't talk to us like that, blah 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 blah. But it's just
Like Ollie, I used to live in Northampton for a good few years,
you
and when I
didn't.
lived in Northampton, I had what they considered to be a very northern accent. And
Brilliant.
every time I went back to Manchester, it's like, where's the southern accent come from?
Love it. Love it. I've got visions. When did you leave Northampton? Just out of interest.
I left in 2005 when I went working abroad on the ships.
Cool. Imagine
When I
if,
came back, I went straight back to Manchester.
imagine if Ollie now lives in the house that you lived in,
Yeah.
or a flat, or dwelling, or whatever, because no one knows. It's a mystery. There we go.
Possible.
If you're confused about what kind of in joke we have about Northampton, feel free to listen to the podcast where we talk about Northampton at least once a show. So yeah, that's all good. Let's crack on. First off, Justin, you and we've played. I don't know. We haven't played, but I've played your lad, and that was fun. But whenever I see your stuff and it's painted and it's one of those things. I look at and go, God, I wish we could do that. How long have you been playing Star Wars Legion for?
Since it came out,
Since
essentially.
it came out.
Yeah,
Nice.
we got it on the first day. You did not want to play Blaze in that first set. You've never seen anybody roll so many crits with Stormtrooper white dice.
No way.
He
Oh, was it like as he was playing
pretty much in his first turn one-shotted off the ATRTs. It's horrifying. That child's ability to roll crits, it's not fun.
Blaze? Where can you pass on that dice luck ability for us, some of us, please, mate? That'd be handy. Here we go. Um, do you play other games? I feel I know what the answer is going to be, but do you play other games?
Oh, so God, so many, so many.
Can you list them in less than 30 seconds?
So Warhammer, since second edition,
Yep.
40k since the day of release. I remember I bought Rogue Trader when it came out, and I've still got it up on the shelf. And I've just bought the latest lot of cards because the boy has decided we're playing 40k. All the various Games Workshop games, Room Wars, FFG, all Imperial Assaults, loads of board games, and Shatterpoint. After me saying I'm not doing Shatterpoint, I'm not. I've got all of Shatterpoint.
Yep.
And it's fun.
My Christmas will be my time. As I mentioned earlier, I'm buying a house this year, so currently buying into games right now is not a wise decision. But at the end of the year, that's a different question. That's a different kettle of fish. So given that you've got so many games, do you consider yourself a painter or slash hobbyist first, or a gamer, or is there one that you sit and say you have a one true love or not?
A gamer who paints.
A gamer who paints. There you go.
Yeah, and I just happen to be good at it.
That works out quite well.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't start good at it. I was frankly terrible, and it's the same as anything. It's time and repetition.
perseverance.
Yeah.
Can you remember what the first things that you've mentioned? You said you Warhammer from second edition for 40k when it came out. Can you remember the first things that you painted, or do you still have?
I don't have them anymore. But so when Games Workshop first really started trading, I got into it really early with the Fighting Fantasy books, and there was a Fighting Fantasy magazine, and that advertised Games Workshop. and they were only still really a small company in Nottingham.
Yeah.
They'd moved to Nottingham at that point, and there was a couple of other little stores in Nottingham that also made miniatures, somewhat cheaper than Games Workshop. So the first set I got was a set of 15mm goblins with spears and a standard bearer.
Nice. And there was that's the fantasy when they were playing rank and file as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these were on metal bases. It's before the slaughter bases, because the
Oh,
all Games Workshop figures came with a lead base. It's part of
yeah.
them.
I didn't see a lead base. The first models I remember painting myself were metal. I remember having, so I had a high elf fantasy army, and I had metal Ever Queen and her handmaidens,
Yeah.
who were, I didn't know what I was doing, so I just went and put paint on them. Didn't know about undercoating back then because I was a teenager who didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I still object to undercoating even now.
it's okay. Army painter make a nice spray paint that smells nice now. I swear when I'm spraying it, it's just like, it smells sweet. But that could just be my brain. So of all instead of saying one model that is your favorite or a project, have you got a collection or a unit maybe that is your favorite that you're like, this, I loved painting this, or a project? Because I know we'll touch on model and then terrain next, because I know you are a cracking terrain builder as well. So in terms of the hobbying things, so is there anything that sticks in your head going, I loved this model or unit and or terrain that you've done?
Loads that I've really enjoyed doing, but the one I'd say Legion wise is, just because I got a bit silly with it, is my Imperial Lat.
Have I seen that? I haven't seen that because I've only seen your Rebels.
1 second.
Oh, look at that. Stay tuned, viewers. We can look at that. Look at all the games in the back there. That's a lot of games. I'm trying to spot things. And everything in a glass case as well. I like that. See, I've said to my wife I want a glass case to display, but she's poo-pooed it.
So one of the things I hate most in the world are flying stands.
Yep.
Can't stand them. These absolutely destroy the illusion. So this fella
Oh man,
is my Imperial Lat.
that is brilliant. And right for context, I'd seen because I said I'd seen your Rebels. Your Rebels do something similar with your airspeeders, don't you? It's something
Yeah.
similar, not to the same the size of that, but that's brilliant. And you've got the green.
I did something similar ages ago with my 40k stuff.
Yeah.
With the Storm Talons, the little Space Marine fly thing.
Yes, the little one that like shrunk down ones that look a bit stumpy. Yeah.
And I made it look like it was stood on an antenna.
Nice.
And the antenna itself looked like a thin piece of plastic. What I'd actually done was I'd cut the antenna out and removed it and replaced it with brass welding rod.
Yeah.
So it was absolutely firm and solid, and it had lots of bits of metal on the bottom of it. But it looked like the wing was just stood on the end of this tower. And it's like, I can make things like that.
That's really cool. How long does it take to do? So if you were to try and do something similar in the future with a different flying vehicles, or you had another airspeeder to do, or something like that, how long would it take you to talk us through the process of that? Because there'll be lots of people looking at it going, "Oh my god, I want to do," and I'm one of them.
Yeah, it's just I hate the flying stand. And there are times when you can't get rid of it. And one of the ones I'm doing at the moment, I'm doing the Wookiee copters.
Yes, and I bet that's
they're not as bad as people have made out.
okay.
But then again, I built the Shatterpoint B1 droids, where I feel that someone at AMG heard me say, "Oh, B1 droids, now I've got them sorted," and then challenge accepted. Yeah. Oh, God.
Don't tell me that.
Oh man. Yeah. AMG, stop it.
That's not something to look forward to. But anyway, yes, flying stands.
So I just generally like I like a narrative in my army. So I am quite a competitive player, but I don't approach it in like the same way as Ollie does, where he goes, I want the list that works. I want the units I like, and I want to make them work.
It's a bit like me, to be fair. I think we were in the same thing. So I like, going back to previous lists I've had, I like Kenobi. He may not, but he's not the best in terms of
Mm.
units and all this sort of jazz. So yeah, but I know what you mean. I feel you that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a great Republic list with Kenobi and Anakin in.
But do you care to share, or is that a secret?
I will. Yeah, it was Anakin and Kenobi,
Lovely.
with just a couple of units of phase ones,
Yep.
and 3 ATRTs with flamethrowers. And you can't kill everything before it gets to you and punches you in the face.
No, you cannot. That's the old that's the rebel version of like a triple barbecue with the Wookiees and the and Luke
Yeah,
and things like that. That's really cool because it's threat saturation as well. That's
yeah.
fun. I like that.
And even better with the ATRTs now, as they've locked line of sight. So it's like, yeah, deal with those scouting ATRTs
Oh
while we
yeah.
walk up behind you, and now you can deal with all of this nonsense.
Yep. And then obviously Jedi's jump over them and do Jedi things.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Well, there you are, people. You're not only getting some hobby talk, you're getting some list suggestions as well. So that's fun. So how long does it take to do terrainy type, basey type stuff?
Now, going up, I am really quick
Cool.
because
But that's
so that one probably took me about 6 hours all in.
cool.
And the reason I'm really quick is because I'm impatient.
That's
So
fair state, yeah.
I developed techniques where I wanted an army on the table, but I wanted it to look good. So
Yeah,
I've just developed my style of, right, I want it to do this, and just cut the crap out of it. There's a lot of faffing in paint, and I say that, but then you look at like the Angel Geraldus of the world and just go, oh yeah, that's why he's better than me.
there's
I
it's
have a mate, Tommy Soul, who's golden painting, and he's painted for all the big miniature companies,
nice.
and his work is just amazing.
Is he now? Because I've never used it. Does he mix between just pure brushwork, or is he an airbrusher, or is it again? This is me as a
A
non-hobby
bit of
guy, but
both.
yeah,
He does. Airbrush isn't his main medium. It is mainly brushwork, and his
cool.
ability with the brush is just like, I'll put it down now, shall I? I'll stop.
That's cool.
And we all have somebody who makes us feel like that. We're just like if you just look through a heavy metal category, sometimes like I could probably I have painted to a level where my stuff has been in the Warhammer World Museum.
That's cool.
My Bretonian army was in there for ages.
Nice. And
Um,
I bet that, and also I imagine that's fun painting all the horses with the regalia and things like that.
oh yeah, everyone was an individual character.
That's cool.
Everyone had its own heraldry. Even the peasants were just down to a silly level. But I look at some of those and just go. Sometimes you just see somebody and just go. And I think it was one where somebody done a wizard and he was reading White Dwarf, and you could see the White Dwarf cover on it and just going, oh well. I, I reached the bar, and then the bar shot off into the distance.
Do you? This is going to sound like really strange, but you might go. Do you, when you look at it, do you see that as a target for yourself to say that's my next thing I want to try and be like, or do you look at it, or a challenge, depending if you're, because you said you're competitive, but like sometimes a bit of competition can fuel a fire to inspire people to be better, that sort of thing.
Sometimes I will look at it and go, I need to know how to do that. And sometimes I look at it and go, that's not for me.
Yeah,
And not every technique is for me immediately. Non-metallic metals was something that I pretty much looked down my nose at for years. Just go, why? It looks good from one angle. And over time, I found, particularly in Star Wars, using metallics didn't look right.
yeah,
So using the non-metallics worked for that.
that's cool.
So developing a system for that. The other one I use Batman miniatures.
Yep,
They're nice models, but they're true scale. So the weapons are so much thinner and smaller. A metallic on that again didn't look right. You weren't getting the effects of those bits of metal in the paint to reflect. So using the non-metallic metallics system made them look so much better.
So for those who, because there might be some people who are sitting there going non-metallic metallics, can you just define what that means for those who might not be going, what? Huh?
It's basically a magic trick with paint. It's a visual illusion. You're using. If you ever look at an old master's painting, they didn't have metallic paint, so to do that, they painted where the light's hitting. They painted the reflections in there just using the flat colours and made your eye trick itself into going, that's reflective, so that's a reflective metal surface. And if you ever look at just, if you look at your ring on your finger and look at the dark bits and the light bits, and that's the beginning of it, and that's how you do it.
I'm sure for a second someone's looking at me doing my ring there, looking like, oh, Cockles looks like a bearded golem there, looking at his.
But if you look at it, and the easiest way of doing it is you generally paint under a light anyway.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So like the light. See, I'm just checking the inside of mine because I've got a tungsten wedding ring. So I see. So like obviously, where the light hits in sort of here is all yellowy, and it's all sort of dark, goes dark. So you basically sort of a more highlighting / to a shade combination wet blending type thing on. Is that what you're sort of thinking?
Yeah, and it's about extremes as well.
Yeah.
So I have no, not him. One of the new Magna Guards that I've just finished, and one that's I've just put base colours on. Mine and just commission work for other people. So that's how it's starting with just in grey.
Yeah.
And by adding light colours where the light hits it, it gives that pretense of it being a reflective surface.
Yeah, that's it. I'm with you.
And the easy way is doing it is, there's all these rules of doing it properly that people go, you got to put your light here and the dark here, and you've got to put dots for reflection. And it always looks a bit painted when you do that, I find. If you just hold it up when you're painting it under light and put the white where the light's hitting the model and ignore the bits where it isn't, and then do the graduation between them, that gives you that effect quite quickly.
That's cool. That's awesome. That's really good.
I mean, without faffing around for hours and following this recipe and that recipe.
Now, instead of, as you say, about following recipes and people's instructions, is there anything you've done that you go, oh crap, I wish I'd done that again? A regret potentially, or if you could do it again, you'd do it this way, that sort of thing.
And it's clones.
Oh, go on. Oh, why is that?
So I painted a set of clones for my glorious 501st, and I'd done it using the white contrast, and it just looked like I dipped them in grey sticky goo.
Oh, really?
And I repainted them, and I could not get it gone to. And every time I looked at them, I hated them a little bit more. And in the end, I sold them and bought it again, bought the army again and repainted it.
And then, so I assume you just did the spray shade back to basicsy type stuff,
basics, and just work the white up from grey, up to white from grey, to actually get. Yes, it was quick, and it wasn't as bad as I make it out to be, but I just didn't like it at all. I hated it.
That's fair.
Because it looked exactly like what it was. It looked like a white that had been dipped in a solution. And that's all I could see. And it's the same as anybody who gets good at a particular thing. You stop seeing it the same way. You start looking at it, well, that could be better. And it's like, for years I was a roadie. So if I go to a gig now, I don't just listen to the band. I look at the production and go, why aren't you on time? Where are you? Who made that lighting choice?
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Robin, my wife, she has more fun at gigs at times, just sat there watching me be angry at them.
I can imagine that if you ever, have you been to Glasgow? Or well, you've been to.
I always manage to avoid it. As as a road, it's a horrible gig.
Or are you more of a download guy?
I went to Donington when
That's it.
before it was download back in the day. But festivals, I haven't been to a festival since I started working as a roadie.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because I'd either be working them, and you're just generally working festival season anyway, or there wouldn't be festivals.
That's fair. I just can see you. I can see you at a festival sitting there you'd be there sitting there going, setup's not all right. Nah, that stack should be nah.
Yeah,
You just see it.
that's exactly what you do. It's like, and you know, I've not been a roadie for 15 years, but I'm still as bad.
Nice. That's cool. Going on with that, moving like you were saying about your regretting and what you've learned from there, is there a piece of advice or something you would say to someone who's taken up I use the phrase leveling up, not because not because of the government, but because it's the best one to do. So if there was something to help someone out, what would you suggest to them at any stage of their painting / hobby?
Every stage of your painting, and every figure you paint, you'll get to a stage halfway through where you will just go, "Oh my God, what have I done?" And you just got to keep going, because it will either be bad at the end and you've learned, okay, that didn't work, or you'll go, oh no, that mid stage always looks terrible. And the mid stage of any painting job does always look really, really bad. And you think, oh God, I've got to stop now. I'm doing it, but keep going with it, finish it off.
Yeah.
And just repetition. All skills come from repetition. Except for the boy who's just good at everything.
Was he born lucky?
Infuriatingly good at everything, just without trying.
Is he gracing us with his presence at any of the future events this year?
He's probably coming down to Milton Keynes GT.
Sweet.
We'll see if he stops being a knob, essentially, where I don't have to punish him. When he isn't out for an event, it's basically because he can't, because he's done something.
That's fair. That's
he's been 13 and just going, I don't want to get out of bed this morning.
And equally fair as well. We've all been we've all been there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you said about Shatterpoint, so I feel like that's what your next project is. Is that accurate?
My Shatterpoint's done. My next one is a game called Cthulhu Death May Die.
Oh, okay.
Which is a really good Kilminian board game based around Cthulhu and investigators. But we were talking about it the other day. It's a really nicely set out game as well. The way it's been designed, all the individual missions are in little boxes inside the main box, so you can just pick out a box and go, playing this mission, we get these figures out and doing it, and then put it all back again neatly. And it's just, you're not constantly searching for tokens and this card and that card. It all sits, so just really well designed.
Nice.
But the game itself, I think, is probably best described as Cthulhu Scooby-Doo. Because when you run through rooms, all the monsters follow you.
Brilliant. I've got visions. I've now got visions of Cthulhu going to do like that, and then some other monster going like that behind.
And it is that if you run through a room, because because you all play cooperatively against the game.
Yep.
Trying to defeat the mission and trying to stop the old one being summoned, or getting him summoned, weaken up, and then killing him.
Yep.
And sending him back. But it's about you go and then the monsters go. You go, then the next player goes, and then the monsters go. And it's the monsters only chase whoever's turn it is. So if you move through a room that's got monsters, the monsters chase you. So it's just like the corridor scene in any Scooby-Doo film.
That's cool. And I don't know how well you know South Park, but I've got visions of Cthulhu running around with Eric Cartman going, "Hey Cthulhu, we're going to do this," on his shoulder, which is just, I've just got that in my head.
Yeah.
Which, there's a challenge for you. Paint a Cthulhu model and put little fat kid, in a woolly hat.
The new set that's coming, because when I did the first Kickstarter, there was a huge, nearly 2 foot tall Cthulhu, and I just didn't do it. I can't really justify it for what is essentially just a mission in the game, and I regretted it ever since. And when they did the season 2, I was like, I'm having that. I don't care.
That's fair.
So when that comes, that will be, and I think it's coming October, or between October and December. That's my next big painting. It's like 2 foot of Cthulhu holding glowing stones coming out the sea.
I look forward to seeing that. That'd be really cool. So from a Star Wars perspective, if there's anything you could paint from from a Star Wars universe, canon, not canon, who cares? What would you do and why?
I'd like a Luke Skywalker that looks like Mark Hamill.
Yeah, it's a fair statement.
And what I mean, actually, there's another piece of advice: only paint a miniature as good as it is. This came from Imperial Assault, the first Imperial Assault figure of Luke Skywalker, and I spent so long painting the hero Luke Skywalker, trying to make him look like he hadn't had a stroke. And the more I looked at the miniature, there's nothing I can do because the mold is this. So I can't. And Rebel Troops is another one from the original core set.
Yep.
Faffing around trying to paint eyes that nobody sculpted. They're just holes.
Yes, I can totally. So, yeah, I can concur that. I say not too long ago. Feels like longer now. A while ago, I strip resprayed all my rebels because I was like, right, I can do better now. And I've been doing them in batches. But yeah, no, as soon as you said, yeah, they need eyes, I was like, yeah, they really do. But yeah,
I've always been really good at doing guys. And as I'm trying, why do these look terrible? And one of the things that comes with age is your eyes are going. So I have to wear glasses now. So, and I thought maybe I'm just not seeing them. And the more I've got my magnifying glasses, and it just occurred one day, it's not sculpted the buggers. They're just holes.
I'm now just hang on. I'm now looking. I've got Ahsoka sitting here. I think, yeah, she's got eyes. She's got her eyes.
And it's since they started doing the hard plastic stuff on sprue, everything's been a lot better.
Oh yeah,
they've come on leaps and bounds. I mean even the new ones and the new ones of the Shatterpoint. I mean, they're nowhere near a Games Workshop yet. And to be fair, Games Workshop have got a 30-year head start on everybody. They have created this industry and they make some of the prettiest models outside of it. For mass-produced models, you're not touching them. They've created this technology. But now they've gone to the point where you get some of their models and going, I'm going to be here for like the next 2 months painting belt pouches and stuff.
Yeah,
they are now oversaturated with detail because they can do so much.
And that's why they have the market at the moment. So yeah, that's where they're at.
Yeah.
Do you have any shout outs you'd like to give out? Local stores, friends, family, whatever, that sort of thing. People you'd like to say thank you for your time. Some people might say thank you to my wife who lets me do all this sorts of stuff. But
yes, thank you very much to my wife who lets me do all this stuff while she goes someplace with a horse.
There you go, done. Well, hang on, there's a debate. Which is more expensive, a horse or gaming?
Oh, the horse by a mile.
Yep.
if you ever want to just enter complete pauperdom.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Marry a horsey girl.
Brilliant, that's good.
Yeah.
Look around the room, you can say nothing.
These have paid for themselves.
I like this.
No, it has its own house in a different farm.
Exactly.
Brilliant, love it. That's great. Robin, get a little mention in the show there. That's all good.
Yeah.
Robin,
a selfie gamer. She just doesn't that much anymore. She says for the board games, she will still. You don't ever want to play Robin at zombies.
I'll keep that in mind. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And
we actually run the zombies away from her.
I'm saying nothing. That's between you guys. Any stores and friends that you want to shout out before we wrap up?
So at the moment, I'm running stuff for Fanboy. We've got a small event on there on the 22nd of July, while you're running your store championships for the That's No Moon.
Yes, we are. That's that weekend.
Yeah. So we're just doing a nice friendly one day where we'll be giving out lots of shiny bits and stuff that we brought back from Worlds.
Nice.
We'll be handing out and lots of bits from my own bits of extras and kits.
Yeah, that's cool. And you said you're down for MKGT. So those anyone who of the 96 who are going to that, if anyone wants to see Justin's painting, I imagine you'll
I'll be bringing my echo based nonsense.
you'll you'll be blown away because of its echo based nonsense, and two, you'll be blown away because of the painting level that's on there. So and if anyone wants to find you on social media stuff where they can see your work, where could they find you?
We are at Fat Man and Dead Boy Painting, because there's me and my mate Dead Boy.
Love that. That's brilliant.
Because neither one of us is skinny,
Well,
and he has died twice now.
I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing. It's all good.
Both of us have found the pies.
It's all wonderful. But thank you for your time on here and talking to us. I'm sure we'll actually get you back on again because we've talked about models, but I want to talk about terrain at some point in the future. So we'll get that,
Yep.
make that happen at a later episode. If you have enjoyed what you've been listening to today, watching as well, because there'll be pictures that Tom will have put through, hopefully, haven't you, Tom? You can find us on That's No Moon, a Star Wars Legion podcast on Facebook. You can find us That's No Moon Pod on Instagram. You can also listen to the podcast. If you don't listen, if you watch on YouTube, you can go to the podcast and all this sorts of jazz. And if you want to support what we do, where we sponsor events and whatnot throughout there, you can go to patreon.com/That's No Moon, and you'll be able to find us all on there. And there's our Discord server and all that shenanigans that goes on there, where we play Hunt, where we play Where's Ollie as well. And you can find where Ollie lives in Northampton. It's all part of the fun. Thank you, Justin. Thank you again, Robin. Thanks. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
That's no moon.